Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Andrea and this is Beyond the Pink Door, and today I am making the Hanna bralette. So this is a Studio Costura pattern. I bought this from their Etsy site and I also bought a few kits to make it as well. So I found that really handy because everything you needed was in the kit. Because there's quite a few different types of elastics and fabrics you need for bra making, and honestly, if I had to go and look for them, I really wouldn't have known what to buy. So it was great getting the kit with everything in it, and it just got me familiar with the elastics that I need to buy. So I've bought a few now since in just different Etsy stores, and I've got all my kit and caboodle here ready to make one today. So the Hanna bralette is in size extra small to extra large. Extra small is a bust of 34 to 35 and an extra large is size 42 to 43. So it's a soft, comfy bralette. I make it for my daughter. I haven't made it for myself because it's just not the type of bra that I like to wear, but she finds it really comfy and I've had great feedback from her. She loves it. I've printed out the instructions and I tend to follow these page by page as I'm making it. So that's that. I'm going to show you my supplies. So you need a stretch lace, which I have here, and it's got a scallop on both sides and it is, as you can see, nice and stretchy. You can use a lining fabric underneath, which can be any sort of stretchy fabric. So I'm actually using like a t-shirt jersey, so that's a cotton jersey. I am making things a little bit difficult for myself by using two different colours, but I just thought it was the best way to show you how you make it because you see more through the colours. So I will have to use two threads and two bobbins. So I have a back closer, I have plush elastic, I have strap elastic, and I have another narrower plush elastic. I've also got some clear elastic. Now I have bought clear elastic especially for bra making, but I think I actually got this from clothes that, you know, sometimes you get this to hold them on the hangers, so I always chop that off really handy. And I have a selection here of different little pieces of hardware. So there's rings and the other guys that I can't think of the name of. And I have printed out my pattern. So I'm going to start laying out and cutting out the fabric and just show you how I get started. So there's only 4 pattern pieces in this bra. So there's the band at the back, there's the cup, there's the inner cup, and then there's this piece for a lining which goes inside here. So we have a cotton jersey and we have the outer lace. So these 3 pieces need to be cut in the lining, and then these 3 pieces need to be cut in the lace. So on the pattern pieces, it actually shows you which you need for the greatest amount of stretch, so that's really handy. And I checked, this one actually has stretch in both ways, but I feel the most stretch is this way. And so I'm going to cut out these 3 pieces first, and then I'm going to cut out all the lace pieces. Yeah, so I have my jersey pieces cut and I'm going to get started on the lace. So this is the front part and I have a straight edge here and I'm lining it up with the scallop. Okay, so that's one side cut, and what we want to do is cut the other piece exactly a mirror image. So what I'm going to do is use this pattern, this piece, as the pattern, and I'm going to find exactly the same spot on the other side of the lace and pin it on top. So I have a pattern here and a pattern here. Now some lace is easier to match up than others, so actually I think you should be able to see there that they match. So I'm going to pin this directly on top. I'm going to make sure that they're in exactly the same place. And then I'm going to very carefully cut around that. Now hopefully these are a mirror image. Yes. Phew, okay, that's that one done. Then it's a matter of doing the same thing for each of the others. So I'm going to go with this piece next. And this is the greatest amount of stretch. Sometimes the pattern pieces can just about fit onto the lace. I'm sure if you're a rotary cutter person, you're probably cringing at me cutting with the scissors, but it's just what I'm used to. Now it doesn't look like it's what I'm used to, but it is. And I'm going to do the very same here. I'm turning it over so I am getting a mirror image. I'm going to put it down there. This one is actually quite difficult. Okay, I'm happy with the way that's lining up. Okay, now fingers crossed. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, I'm going to go on and do the other two pieces now in exactly the same way. So the first sewing step is to get the lace piece, which is the inner cup, and if you notice on the pattern piece it comes down at an angle and then it's straight here. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew some clear elastic just along the edge, so just inside where the scallop is, and that's just basically to stabilize the edge of it. So we're not actually gathering the elastic, we're just holding it, we're not putting any tension on it, we're just literally sewing it just inside the scallop. So I'm just going to sew on top of the clear elastic just inside the scallop there. And then that's what it looks like. And I'm going to do the same for the other side. So I have the elastic on both pieces, and now I have them right sides together, and I am going to zigzag stitch that little straight seam there, which is the middle part of the bra, and I'm going to do that with the 2.5 by 2.5 seam. And then the next thing I have to do is I have to change my thread colour, because I am going to finish the edge, the curved edge of the inner cup lining. So I'm just going to zigzag across the curved edge. So here are my lace pieces. I have my seam here. Here are my lining pieces. I've zigzagged the curved edge and I've done my little seam there. And I'm going to go slightly off the pattern instructions now. So I'm going to push this seam this direction. I'm going to push this seam the other direction. And I am going to pin them together. And I'm going to pin the lining along the edge, just matching up the shape. And the same on this side. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to zigzag this seam here to hold the lining piece onto this. I find it easier at this stage than later on doing it, so I'm going to continue on and do that now. So you should have this kind of thing now. I've also gone and zigzagged around the edge here as well, because it just makes the next step a little bit easier, because there's a lot of sandwiching together. So here is your, what do they call it? Here is the outer cup. I have it right side up, and I'm going to pin it into this shape here. There are notches to match up. Unfortunately, mine have disappeared. Now you can sew that now if you like, but the instructions suggest sewing all of these layers at the same time, and it basically encloses the seam and it gives a really nice, tidy finish. So I'm going to put plenty of pins so that hopefully I don't end up with any puckers. Now I'm going to sew along there with the zigzag. So I've just sewn all the layers together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then if we have done it on both sides, and then this is what it looks like on the outside. So it's really nice because the seam is in there, and then on the inside there's no raw edges either. So the next thing we have to do, it's actually starting to look like a bralette already. Next thing we have to do now is to top stitch just along here, and that keeps all the layers nice and flat and gives that a nice finish. So I'm going to do that next. So you should be able to see my top stitching there. I actually sewed it on the inside because I had the coral colour on my thread and I had the black in the bobbin. So now it's time to put the bands on. So these are the back bands. This is the lace piece right side up, and we're going to do something very similar to how we did the cup, but this time we have a straight edge, so this is definitely an easier seam to do. There and here. So I'm going to pin the 4 layers together. And I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance again. So I'm going to sew them with 1/4 inch seam allowance, and again I'm going to top stitch the same way I did here. So at this stage it really is starting to look like a bralette, and it's time to start putting elastic on. So this is the plush elastic. So it's got a little picot edge here, it's got a plush side and a non-plush side. So the instructions ask that there is a stretch on the elastic on the bottom of the bra, and the recommendations are that 1 centimetre gets lost in every 5 centimetres. So I've basically measured along here, I've got 60 centimetres, so I've divided that by 5 and I've got 12, so I've cut this piece of elastic 60 minus 12, which is 48. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the centre point of the elastic, and obviously the centre of the point of the bra is there. So I've pinned it here in the centre. I'm going to give it a pin here on the edge, again keeping the edge of the elastic in line with the edge of the bra. I'm going to put another pin to hold it here. And then we have to sew a zigzag stitch just along the edge here where the picot edge is. So that's how it looks, and on the other side. And now what we have to do is trim off all of this fabric here down as far as the zigzag there, all the way across. So it's going to look like that. So I'm going to do that all the way across there. It looks like this all the way across. Just neaten that little bit. Now what we're going to do is turn the elastic to the inside. So if you roll that a little bit on the outside, the little picot edge is going to be showing. And now what we're going to do is do another row of zigzagging on the other edge of it here. And as you do the zigzag, roll it so that you can feel that this is on the edge. And then that's how it looks on the right side. So it's time to make the straps. So you need 2 strap pieces, 13 inches long. You need this guy and a little ring. And you're going to get your strap right side out, thread it in through so that it's on the edge like so, and then you're going to sew these 2 layers together like this. Then you are going to thread the ring into it, and this is the little bit that got me very confused. So hold on to the ring, bring the strap around and thread it again through these guys. And then you end up with this, and you do that for the 2. Now I've just realised that I've made a mistake at this point. So what I should have done is I should have done the straps first before I did the second zigzag, because the strap needs to be just basically sandwiched in here. So I've unpicked some of the zigzag, popped them in, and I'm going to zigzag those little pieces again. So at this point we have to check that the bra closer at the back is going to fit into place. So basically we have the elastic at the bottom here. This is our little closing piece. We're going to be putting elastic at the top here in the same manner as we did underneath. So the best way to judge if this is going to be correct is to put the elastic there, and I can see here that there's just too much fabric here, so I'm going to trim that off, just grade it up towards here, and then when this elastic is on and turned in, the piece that's left here should fit exactly snugly into that. So our last piece of elastic to go on is the underarm elastic, and I've done the same calculations as I did for here. I measured along, I deducted 1 centimetre for each 5 centimetres, and I have a plush side here. I'm going to pin it with the picot here to the inside and the plush side up, and I'm going to carry out the very same sewing as I did for under. So I'm going to pin it all along and zigzag, stretching it out. So I have the elastic sewn around the underarm. I've trimmed off all the excess, and I meant to say that you have to keep the strap out of the way when you're doing this, so that's still dangling. And I'm going to do the very same as I did on the bottom band here. I'm going to turn it, have the lovely little picot on the edge, and I'm going to zigzag down along. So ideally I'd like to sew here on the outside, but it means me changing my bobbin and my top thread, so I'm going to sew from the inside again. So now it's looking like this. Next thing to do is to sew through here, and then making sure not to twist the strap. We're going to thread the top part of the bra through here, and we're going to sew through here. I've done it on this side, so you can see I've sewn through there, and then I've sewn through here. I'm going to cut off those extra little threads. So that's how it looks there. And the last part then is to fit the closer on. So this sandwiches in here. It is very fiddly, so that just fits inside there, and then I'm going to sew down on top there, and the same this on this side. So there it is. It's all finished. This is how it looks at the back. So the little closer fit in really nicely. I think it's my most successful one yet. Probably have a few more little threads to snip off. It wasn't so bad actually changing the bobbin and the top thread, so I'm actually really pleased that's done. I hope that I filmed enough of it to help you if you were actually going to make one. I'm not going to lie, it was difficult to film. I found that really difficult. It's so fiddly, but yeah, I hope it helps you along. So yeah, as I said, it's a great pattern if you are thinking about getting into bra making. And yeah, so that's it. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.